One of the most distinctive sounds you'll ever hear is a broken dish hitting the ground. I'm sure you could agree. Oftentimes, the worst part of a broken dish is the fact that you have to then sweep up and think to yourself, man, what a shame. That was my favorite bowl. Or, man, I sure hope I don't walk on some broken glass and I missed a piece. There's a technique called Kintsugi by the Japanese, whereby they take tree sap lacquer mixed with powdered gold and silver. So instead of throwing the bowl away, they repair it, making it more beautiful, more enhanced, and more expensive. You see, Toastmasters, contest masters, and welcome guests. Many years ago, a struggling school teacher named Mrs. Johnson was raising two young girls, ages 8 and 13. She sent them to the store, and upon leaving the store, the girls were accosted by a neighborhood bully. She told the girls to give up their money and their groceries. Before the girls could make a move, she grabbed for the older girl's purse, causing her to drop her bag of groceries, and consequently, a fight ensued. The bigger bully overpowered the teen, while her little sister grabbed at the bully's shirt, viscerally screaming, "Leave my sister alone! Stop hitting my sister!" Finally, the girl was able to break free from the bully, but as she broke free, she began to bag away and she stumbled off the curb, where she was immediately struck by a passing car. Her sister, with tear-filled eyes, watched as her sister's body went flying through the air. Mindlessly, she dashed out into the street to see about her sister, where she too was struck by an oncoming truck. And where they landed is where their hearts stopped beating. Their mom, Mrs. Johnson, was at home when she heard the knock at the door. And it was a boy from down the street, and he said, "Miss Johnson, you must come quickly because they say your daughters are on the ground in a pool of blood." Miss Johnson, disoriented, discombobulated, and distraught. Emotionally, she screeched, "Please, Father, please, not my girls." And as she hurriedly reached for her keys, she said, "Which daughter was it?" The boy said, both of them. It only took Miss Johnson a quick minute to get to her daughters, but in that tiny minute, her life was broken and crushed, just like that bowl. You see, any of our lives can be broken and ripped apart in less than a minute. And I know well because not long ago I had to bury my mom and my daughter under tragic circumstances. And it felt like I left a piece of me at those graveyards too. Now I know a few of you may be thinking, "Greg, you look like you got some extra pieces to spare that big man." But I assure you, I need all of me. You see, I came to know this story about Mrs. Johnson because she was my teacher when I was getting my PhD. That's my public high school diploma. Don't run off the year yet. She was the kind of teacher that if she saw a student struggling, she would buy them a coat or some shoes, including me once. She was the kind of teacher that went over and above. You know, I realized that the loss of her children caused her to have a concern for all children, even more so. And one day I asked Miss Johnson how she came to be so kind. And she said, "Well, son, I was in deep depression. But did you know if you change the letters in the word depression, you get I pressed on? And that's just what I did. I pressed on. I didn't have time to sit in my pain and misery. That's like walking over broken glass." And my real healing didn't start until I learned how to forgive others, and most of all, myself. Kintsugi, it starts with the broken vessel, but it can move to repairing of those broken vessels to create something more beautiful. And here at Toastmasters, we hear beautiful speeches all the time about people with their challenges and their brokenness and their victories. But today, I want us to be brave enough to peer into the other side for just a moment. But there's a lot of people whose lives have been broken and shattered. They never bent down to pick up those pieces and make themselves a Kintsugi bowl, restoring their love, their hopes, and their dreams to move forward in life, but they're people trapped and walking on broken glass. You see, sometimes people need a little bit of encouragement and help in order to come out of those conditions. And here at Toastmasters, we often pride ourselves on being able to give inspiring speeches, and this is true that we do. For Dolly Parton said, storms come to make trees take deeper roots. And I totally agree with that concept. And it's something that I also want to invite you all to do. So today, as I gave this speech and as I wrote this speech, I thought about those people who live on the outskirts of hope and in the shadows of loneliness. And I thought about myself. I said, well, Greg, what will it take for you to move? And I realized that if you put your muscle, if you put your mind, your muscle, and your money to changing your life, you'll go from bitter to better faster than you could ever expect. And if you take your time, your talent, and your treasure and invest it into other people, you'll be surprised what kind of residual effects you'll have back into your own life. And you'll leave worried and weariness and woundedness behind. You'll wave goodbye. Toastmasters, it's up to each and every one of us to move from being hurt people to heal people. For hurt people are known to hurt people, but healed people surely do heal people. Look deep down inside yourselves. I call upon each of you to look down and begin the healing journey yourself if you haven't already begun. Because the true Kintsugi vessels are not these bowls, shiny and beautiful. The true Kintsugi vessels are you and I. Contest Master.
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Timer, please allow 1 minute of silence.